Yeah. So if if you'd like, you can hop on my YouTube. I'm streaming this on YouTube as well, uh, but I'm also streaming the news with it, so you'll be able to watch the news with me. I'm just using ABC News because they have a live segment about it right now. So if you want, totally up to you. I think I gotta fix my camera though. Hello, everybody. We're just gonna turn on the news really quick. You heard an IED was found. I didn't hear anything about that. Not sure that that's a thing that's happened, but at this point, it wouldn't be. Yeah, no, that'd be pretty surprising if there was an IED found. Oh no. Can I? Will this stay? Um, I'm trying to get my cameras to both be in the same general area. There we go. So now my YouTube and TikTok look the same.
Mayor Bruce, thanks very much. We have the Republican leader of the House, Kevin McCarthy, on the phone right now.
Um,
Congressman McCarthy, thank you for joining us. I'm glad you are safe. I assume you're in a secure location.
I wouldn't be too worried, guys. If you're one of the people that are worried about what's happening, or you're scared or whatever, I wouldn't be too worried. Things are gonna happen the way they happen, regardless of whether or not you're watching or you're scared about it. So I wouldn't waste too much time being terrified. It was as Biden just said in his speech. This isn't a majority of Americans. This is just a small, in the grand scheme of things, this is a small percentage, a very small percentage of America. Not enough to actually affect change amongst the rest of us. This is all going to be resolved in a day. It's wild. It is wild that this is happening, but I wouldn't be too worried about it. We're just watching.
President Trump has not condemned this, has not called on the protesters to stand down.
Yeah, so Trump tweeted about 45 minutes ago and said and asked people to remain peaceful, which was like several hours after it had not been peaceful. But that's all I've seen President Trump say about it so far.
The president is going to be speaking about this, and when you say a message is coming shortly, what does that mean? Is some kind of a videotape message?
That's what I believe when I was just calling back again to him, and I understand that's what was taking place right now.
And you talk about all of us taking responsibility, and that's well placed. I think, and all of us have to think about and reflect on what's going on as we see this image of a mob moving through the Capitol that none of us could ever imagine in this country. What responsibility do you feel yourself as Republican leader of the House, as someone who did not recognize the election of Joe Biden, who has protested these votes?
Well, let's not put words in each other's mouth, okay? The one thing I will tell you is I believe every election should be fair and accurate. I have no problem. I still have House races that aren't determined yet. I've got a person who lost a race, a Democrat in the House, contesting it inside Congress right there. That's fair. Those are the rules. That's the possibility. But nowhere does it ever say to take this type of action. We can disagree with one another. You've been in those chambers. You know people have different agreement, but you can sit and we're all Americans first. This type of activity has got to stop, and it didn't just start today. I've watched time and again other members, I get them on both sides, they would say, you need to go confront them in their house. You need to confront them and yell at them. Look, I I've had a friend shot a colleague. I've watched people protest within my house. We have a First Amendment, but this is beyond the First Amendment. People do not have right to do this. People planned within here. People, you will find later the same people.
This is the voice of Republican Minority Leader Representative Kevin McCarthy.
This is un-America. We are the beacon of democracy. This is not our best. This is what we're supposed to show to the nation. This is my saddest day as a member of Congress. And what we have to do
Poor
is
guy.
take this moment
He sounds
to take
sad.
this divide in this nation and understand we could have differences of opinion. You have the right of speech, but you do not have a right to take it to the level that I've watched people have done time and time again.
Will things change after this? Is there a way to heal this breach in our country, in the Congress?
There has to be. Look, I know the greatness of this
Am I
nation.
safe?
I
Yeah.
know we are exceptional.
I'm in
We, at
Florida.
the lowest
I'm
points
not-
of time,
I'm not in
can
danger.
We wake up with each other? Can we realize that what has gone on has gone too far? I can disagree with a person and still love them as a person. We can debate. What should happen here is the public should be able to be sitting in that chamber watching us debate and just think of the things that we debated in that chamber, from the 13th Amendment, from the idea of civil rights. But the idea of this transpiring today is wrong. And anybody associated with it is wrong.
That is very clear.
Representative Kevin McCarthy really coming in with some bangers there. The idea of this happening is wrong. Real good. Real good, dude. So proud.
I'm told that, in fact, the president
Groundbreaking
has
stuff.
released, a video. We're going to be playing it as soon as we can right now. First, I want to bring in Kellyanne Conway, who, of course, has been counselor to the president.
Oh, we're bringing in Kellyanne Conway.
Kellyanne, we're hoping to have it ready to air in just a minute. What is the president saying? Is he prepared to condemn this action?
Sure, I've watched the video, George. Thanks for having me on. The president tells them to go home and go in peace. He tells them he understands that they think that the election has been stolen, but there shouldn't be violence, to go home and to go in peace. And basically, he's telling people at the Capitol what, frankly, was my message to him over an hour ago, which is tell them to get out and go home. And these are not peaceful protests. And I want to tell everyone, particularly people who support President Trump, if you condemn looting and rioting this summer, and many of us did, you need to condemn it now. When I see the images coming out of the Capitol, people think it's appropriate and legal and funny. It's not, folks. It's none of the above. To go looting through Speaker Pelosi's office, to go screaming through the bowels of our sacred Capitol buildings, and I'm telling you, these are extremists, and in many cases.
Can we just, like, as a group of people, stop using the term bowels?
And also the 74 million people who voted for him. That's
Perhaps,
not the base.
but weren't they incited by the president himself? He was speaking to that group just hours ago, around 11 o'clock this morning. He was calling on Twitter for people to come out to these protests in Washington, D.C., saying they're going to be wild.
There shouldn't be violence of any kind. Destruction is not part of democracy in its purest form. There are many ways to dissent. There are many ways to disagree. There are many ways to be upset that maybe your candidate didn't prevail. Look, I was in Georgia on Sunday and Monday. I talked about the two Senate candidates, but you had a lot of people there talking about the presidential election still. And I've been in touch with the mayor's office, Mayor Bowser. I'm glad that the president has authorized the National Guard to go. I think that's very helpful. I know that she's got a curfew going on. That will be helpful. But this is a moment for all of us to come together. And George, I have to tell you, I hope these calls for unity are real. And I've thrown my hat into that ring as well. This, as I said about 4 years ago, that we are a country where the peaceful transition of power is incredibly important, and it's owed to each and every one of us as Americans. And I absolutely expect and hope that will take place. I'd also just like to say that when the president tells people go home and go in peace, he is directing them to leave the Capitol building now, and they ought to do it.
And we do have the video right now. So, Kellyanne, thanks very much for your time.
Ooh,
Appreciate
there's
it.
a video of Trump coming up.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it.
He's still on this?
Especially the other side.
He's
But you
still
have to
on
go
this?
home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us, from me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
Well, the president did say go home there, but his message was wrapped in a lie. I'm going to bring in Chris Christie for more on that. He said the election was stolen. He said he won in a landslide. He said they're trying to take it away from you. You know that's not true.
Yeah.
You said it's
like the stuff that he led with. We won by a landslide. They're stealing it. That's the reason they're doing this. You can't try to come in and have people not storm the Capitol by saying the things that made them storm the Capitol in the first place. I mean, that's not... Regardless of whether you think that there was fraud or not, there wasn't. There's no proof of it. Every case was thrown out in court because there was no evidence. But even if you think that there was, that's not how you get people to calm down. Like, if you want someone to calm down, you don't start that plea by saying the things that made them upset in the first place. That don't make no sense. And then he said some questionable stuff at the end of it, but I don't want to get into that. Oh, you can't hear me? Hello? Check 1 2. Check. Yeah. All right. It was just that one person. Oh, man. I guess the one silver lining is that he did end it by saying, go home. We love you. You're special. Go home. Brother. I'm watching it on ABC, which I know leans left, but that was just the first link that I saw, so I clicked on it. They played Biden's speech. If you want to watch Trump's speech again, it's on his Twitter. Go to his Twitter. It's 1 minute and 1 second long. There is a Twitter disclaimer. It says this claim of election fraud is disputed, and this tweet can't be replied to, retweeted, or liked due to a risk of violence. Like, Twitter put that, which I think is funny. Trump posted a video. It's 1 minute and 1 second of basically him saying that I was robbed of the election. Please go home. And your Twitter will not let you comment, retweet, or favorite it because there's a risk of violence. It also says that the claim of voter fraud is disputed. Don't get mad at me. I didn't say it. Twitter posted that. That's a Twitter claim, not me. I didn't do it. I agree with it, but I didn't do it. Yeah, I know you guys can't hear the news right now. I muted the news so that I could talk. I thought that was funny that Twitter did that. He ended his speech by saying, we love you. You're special. Now go home. And I could be mistaken, but I don't remember him ever saying something like that about the Black Lives Matter protesters. He says, "I love you, you're special," to the people that forcibly stormed the White House. But he doesn't love you, you're not special if you're peacefully protesting murder. I don't know, it speaks volumes. Biden is no better than Trump, is what you comment there. Biden already spoke on ABC, and his speech was pretty good. He didn't mention the election or anything that would make people upset. He basically just said we need to come together. I'm calling, as the president-elect, I'm calling on everyone to stand down and go home. I'm calling on President Trump to speak out against this. Biden said something along the lines of, like, president's words are powerful. At their best, they can inspire. At their worst, they can incite. So yeah, I would say right now, in this very moment, Biden is better. Now, if you want me to say that Biden is great, I'm not gonna do that. I mean, I don't really like Biden, but right now he's doing, I mean, his speech was a lot better. His wasn't filled with a bunch of rhetoric that would just make people mad again. Do you know how important it is to not make people mad again when you're trying to calm them down? Like if you're dealing with, like, a 2-year-old and the 2-year-old is crying, the thing that you don't do is remind the 2-year-old of the thing that they're crying about. Like, if they've calmed down, you're not like, hey, remember when you were crying about that? Like, yeah, someone just said Biden is racist. Probably. He's like, how old is he? Like 80 something? He's like an 80 something year old privileged white man. There's for sure some subconscious, unconscious bias in Joe Biden's life. But when he's speaking to the public, he does so eloquently and talks of equality and unity, where as Trump will kind of get on a national stage and be like, the people storming the Capitol right now are special and we love them, but those Black Lives Matter protesters are thugs. He's 78, yeah. You can't be a 78-year-old privileged white man and not have some unconscious bias in you. I don't think he's actively racist. I think Trump is actively racist. That's the difference. I think Trump is a conscious racist, and then Biden is an unconscious racist. This has showed that our capital lacks the necessary security. I don't know, did you guys see the picture of what the Capitol building looked like during the Black Lives Matter protests? Like, the stairs were covered in National Guardsmen. We can protect the Capitol building if we want to. Generally, if someone's storming the yard, they get shot. Do I think I'll get called out to DC? No, I don't think so. They'll call the National Guard for this. If the reservists go, it'll probably be a voluntary thing, and I'm not gonna volunteer for that. I'd rather just sit here and stream it. Let's hear what ABC is saying.
Allow law enforcement to be able to get a handle on the situation much faster if we could disperse some of the large crowds that are there.
Right. In that video, he told them to go home, but it was wrapped around his claims, his false claims that the election was stolen from him. Elizabeth Newman, thank you very much. Let me bring in John Cohen for more on this at this point. You say, as a former law enforcement official, they can't wait.
Yeah, we lost the opportunity to de-escalate this situation when the president released the statement where, as you just pointed out, he blended together this idea of going home and the fact that the election was stolen. That's why these people are here. And I would actually argue this wasn't just simply an organic, spontaneous protest. This is the result of weeks and weeks of disinformation being spread by the president, his supporters in Capitol Hill, people who support him in the media, individuals on social media. These people are reacting to the planning that took place in social media and that disinformation. So what do they need to do now? They're going to need to declare this as an unlawful assembly. They need to give people opportunity to clear the grounds peacefully. Then they need to remove people from the building. They need to clear the building. We saw videos of people going into the Capitol with large knapsacks. We've already got reports of explosive devices being located around Washington potentially. They need to make sure there's no explosives in the Capitol. They need to clear the grounds of the Capitol, and then they need to clear the street. And they need to keep people off the streets this evening because, as Pierre pointed out, there's probably a very high likelihood that violence would continue if you have large groups of people in and around the streets of D.C. That's where law enforcement's going to be focusing now.
And that's the question. Will the crowd be diminishing or not? It appears to have been growing over the last couple of hours. John Cohen, thanks very much. Let me bring Chris Christie back. We do have him connected right now. Well, Chris, the president did come out with a statement wrapped in propaganda.
Yeah, George.
All right, so that last guy that was talking, for those of you on TikTok that aren't watching along my YouTube right now, that last guy was talking was John Cohen. He was the former counterterrorism expert at the Department of Homeland Security. So basically, just like the experts on counterterrorism came in and was like, this is how you handle the situation. You declare an unlawful assembly, give people a chance to leave peacefully, and then you remove the people from the inside by force. That was straight from the counterterrorist expert's mouth. That's how you have to do it. Will they do it? Not sure.
Calling for law and order.
Well, George, at the end of it, what you're supposed to do as an elected official in this country who takes a constitutional oath is to always remember that the office you hold is bigger than you. Your responsibility in that office is bigger than you.
There's a guy wearing like a gladiator outfit.
I think that what that video showed was that the president was still placing his personal interests ahead of the interest.
He looks like a Party City Spartan. Like, that's how he came to this, wearing like a Halloween Spartan outfit. Oh, that's funny. Good for you, man. Live your dream. Oh, that's so funny to me. Like, if you're gonna storm the White House, you might as well dress up like a Spartan in an outfit you for sure bought in the kids' aisle of Walmart. That's so funny to me. Hey, thanks for that £5 euro donation. Speaking as a Brit, do you want us to come over and just take over again? We don't mind. Nah, dude. You're not gonna sit over across the pond and act like your shit's on lock. Like, oh, brother, look at your prime minister and tell me he's not just Walmart Donald Trump. Like, y'all ain't got your act together either, my dude. I'm chill. I'm getting paid to stream the news because wild stuff just happens constantly. I'm fine, my guy. You can't sit there in Britain trying to figure out Brexit and then ask me if we'd rather have your stuff going on. Have fun with Boris, my guy. My God, our president is like a weird dude, but at least his name isn't Boris. Do you know how much your parents have to hate you to name you Boris? Oh, sweetie. I appreciate the donation that you just made, but we talk a lot of trash about America, but my dude, we're still doing better than most places. And it is just hilarious to me that, like, other countries are like, no, we're great. You're not. Every other week, France lights another building on fire because their government did something to mildly inconvenience them. But they're like, things are good over here in France. That was funny. It's also funny that, like, people in Britain for sure don't want us. Like, if there was somebody covering Brexit right now, and I was like, would you rather us just come over? They'd be like, no. Because everyone thinks they're doing so bad, but at the same time doing so much better than everyone else. We're just chilling, dude. Things will happen. Whatever happens was gonna I am a 24-year-old boy from Florida. Things are gonna happen whether I talk about them or not. I'm gonna bring in my buddy Jeff. This is insanity. The 20th won't come fast enough. You think this wouldn't happen after the 20th? Come on now. As long as Donald Trump has like 40 or 80 million Twitter followers and they believe what he says, stuff like this can always happen. Oh, did ABC News stop?
What?
Hello.
Hey.
I gotta throw you into the thing here real quick.
Alright.
Video input, video capture. Nope, we're doing window capture. I know how things work.
I don't, so somebody does.
We're gonna see. Where's FaceTime? FaceTime with Jeff. Yeah! Alright, we're gonna set you up here.
They're just in my ear for no reason. Connect. Wow, here we go. Now I can... Yeah, I figured I might as well, right?
Okay. We have you in, Jeff. Your face is fully in the YouTube. If you go to youtube.com and go to my page, you'll be able to see it.
YouTube.com. YouTube, you say, huh?
Go to the YouTubes. Go to the tubes, you.
Hey, oh, yeah. Yeah, well, this is a crazy world we're in there, Ben.
Yeah, you're over in LA, yeah?
Yep.
Anything happening over there? Any craziness?
I hear some every time you hear helicopters, you don't know what it's for, but I have seen people share that there's Trump rallies out here.
Where? In LA?
In LA, yeah.
In LA?
It might be 20 people, but...
All right. Hey, man, look. Hey, 3's a crowd. That's all we got to say about that. Look. think maybe in like Napa Valley, or just like an hour outside of LA, or in North California. But
oh, hey, there's me on the YouTube.
Ben,
Wow.
are you gonna do a table episode on this? I don't know how I cannot. I feel like I have to at this point.
Yeah, that's it. It's crazy that so many people are like, I couldn't see this happening, and I'm like, this is what he wanted to have happen. He planned this.
I think maybe because I live in Florida and I'm so far away, but I kind of like this. I'm enjoying this. Maybe it's the chaotic in me, but
yeah, there's definitely pros and cons.
There's
there was some woman that like got shot, so that would go in the con section.
Yeah, that's in
if
the
we're
cons.
weighing pros and cons
For sure, pretty heavy in the cons.
Yeah,
but there's like a level of excitement watching people storm the White House.
There's something, and it's also so many people. The resistance, the lack of resistance, that they weren't prepared for this was like.
Why? How could they not be prepared for this?
At the original Black Lives Matter protests, before any looting, any fires, just the mere organization of black people getting together created an incentive for police officers to bring tanks from the very beginning. Because people look back and they're like, oh, well, yeah, there was violence in the protests. That's when the police started to resist. No. From the very beginning, day one, there were tanks, and there was resistance, and at least intimidation from the police.
I mean,
so
yeah,
this is just astounding.
We didn't have tanks in Orlando, but I mean, we had like an armada of bike cops. Like the least intimidating thing a police officer can do is wear riot gear on a bicycle. But
that's true.
But when there's like,
I'd say is when they're on a horse.
When there's
I
like,
always laugh at a cop on a horse.
Okay, I had a buddy get bit by a horse once that a cop was riding. Those things got a bite, but like, a riot gear officer on a bicycle is not. It's not super intimidating, but when there's 300 of them and they surround you, then you're like, all right, they're not trying to relax.
My roommate just woke up, and it's 1:48 here in California, so he doesn't know that there's civil war is happening. He just woke up and is like, why is everybody so loud?
Bro!
What's going on? I'm like, oh yeah, just the world is coming to an end. You know, no biggie.
Imagine waking up and you're like, hey bro, happy Wednesday, and then the first thing someone tells you is like, yeah man, people are storming the White House, wake up. Like, that isn't like a happy thing to wake up to.
No, that's a lot. That's a lot.
That's so much.
Yeah, and I it's so hard to weigh the pros and cons. Like it took a lot for people to realize that politics matter, but maybe now people will wonder, like, so this voting thing, huh?
Wait,
to that voting thing.
So you're telling me that my voice is important? No, Jeff, no.
There might be. There might be something to it.
You're trying to tell me that if I don't speak out against the things I don't like, they're gonna keep happening?
Maybe.
Jeff.
It's a theory. It's a theory.
Jeff, no. Unheard of. Unheard of. Look, here's how my, like, millennials, Gen Z, we're kind of the same, and, like, if you don't like something, just completely ignore it, and maybe one day it'll stop. No, we have the cat.
We're fostering kittens, and they don't even know the world is coming to an end. They don't care.
All 9 of their lives are at stake.
Yeah. It's time to act like, you know, whatever. They're selfish.
What's the kitten's name?
Coco and Frida.
Coco and Frida. Like
Yeah.
Frida Kahlo?
Yeah.
Oh. Frida
Yeah.
Cat-O?
We were gonna name him like Alexandria. There was a boy and a girl. We were gonna name them like Bernie and Alexandria, just to like try to limit Trumpers from being able to own these cats someday. But then we were like, that might be maybe the place that we got the foster kittens from might not like us limiting the options. But
I don't know. I feel like
in retrospect,
Well,
I feel like
Bernie is a fine name for a cat. Alexandria is too human. Like, cats
Yeah.
need to have a little bit of a
Yeah.
weird. Bernie, fine. You can name a cat Bernie.
Sure.
That's fine. I don't think.
Sure.
I would be upset if you named a cat Alexandria.
You'd be upset.
I would be upset. I would be physically bothered by the fact you named a cat
You
Alexandria.
wouldn't just disapprove. It would be a thing that
I would
upset
be.
you.
I would want to throw up. You would make me want to puke.
It's like when you see a
Now-
dog and they're like, "This dog's named Frank," and you're like, "That's not a dog."
Now,
That's a
if you named
reincarnated
your
human with a
cat-
dog body.
If you named your cat Alexander the Great
Mm.
or Alexander the Meowificent,
That's hard to yell at somebody.
That's fine, though.
whose
well,
name
you just
ends
go
in
first
the great.
name.
Okay, yeah.
Alexander. And the cat's like, whoa. That's not my name.
Yeah, this is I don't know. I can't get over that this is also there were still violent protests. There were still the Proud Boys have still been doing damage towards the police for weeks now, and somehow I feel like it took more for this type of thing to be televised. I feel like the protests previously, when it was related to Black Lives Matter, were on TV so much people forgot that Corona existed, and then for the other side, it took taking over the Capitol building to be like, you know what? I think there's some crazy racist whites out there. Like, that's
Well, I think it was the timing of everything, not so much.
sure.
Because
Sure.
regardless
That's fair.
of who's causing chaos is news. And
Chaos
it
is
gets
news.
views.
Yeah. That's
So
fair.
if there is chaos to be seen, the news will show it. What
Mhm.
I think happened is that people got so burnt out on so much constant chaos that, I mean, even the Black Lives Matter protests went on longer than they were televised. And it's not just because the media
Sure.
was trying to silence black people or whatever. I'm sure there were some programs that were. It's
Yeah.
just that people weren't watching anymore. When it first started
Yeah.
happening, it was thousands, millions of views every single night. But after, I mean, 3 full months of just constant revolution,
Eventually
people
some
stopped
people are like,
watching
I need
it.
to see some cat videos or watch Friends.
Yeah.
Eventually people just want to escape.
and the
whether-
chaos started to go from, Black Lives Matter, and then the chaos needle started tipping back into nobody's paying attention to COVID anymore. So just by the time the white people started protesting at the Capitol, last month before that,
Mhm.
we all stopped paying attention.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
that the news stopped showing it. It's just that we stopped caring. Like, we became so... What's the word? Just desensitized to this stuff.
Mhm.
That when it was
Mhm.
on the news, we were like, well, Tuesday.
Man, and that's why people put too much onto that. I'm not going to try to take away somebody's joy, but people found a lot of joy of us moving away from 2020,
Yeah.
and then the negativity in my brain didn't want to take that away from people, but in my head I was just like, I mean, it is just a number, It is 2021 isn't going to be like, Corona's not going to stop just because there's a different number now, and
This was
craziness.
what I tweeted an hour or two ago. Us. You were the chosen year. It was said you would destroy 2020, not continue it. Bring balance to the year, not leave it in darkness. 2020. I'm gonna storm the White House on day 6. Us. You are our brother, 2020. We loved you.
I'm sure everybody read it in that voice too.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's the only way I want people to read it.
I needed to ask you how to do this whole technology you got going on of FaceTiming
On
the
YouTube?
I mean, not now. Then it just changes the entire point of the conversation. People are just gonna be like, "Are they? This is Geek Squad. Why are they acting?"
Well, let's give them an
some other
update.
day?
Let's give them an update on the news. I'm gonna refresh ABC News. Looks like nothing has changed. Every clip you kind of see is more or less people just standing around waiting for something to happen. The people storming the White House seem to be bored at this point. To me, it feels very Miami nightlife. And I'm not sure if anybody's gonna get that reference unless you've been to Miami. But like Miami has.
I played Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, well,
I think there was
it's still different.
We get
what I mean.
Miami.
No, what I mean is like there's so much stuff to do in Miami, right? But nobody does it because they enjoy it. Everyone does it because they want to be seen there.
Really?
You dress up nice, you go out, you take pictures, not because you want to be at the Heat game, not because you want to be at the Dolphins game, but you want to look good in public in a nice place. So all of these people kind of give me that feel of they're there because it would be cool to be seen there. This is like a cool story they can tell their kids and their grandkids or whatever. Not so much that they're actively trying to break into the White House. Like, most people on the lawn right now got there after the main surge. There's like maybe 50 to 100 people that want to be there. And then the rest of them are just kind of like, it'd be cool to get on TV.
Yeah, I mean, it was like that to a degree for some people that we would see at the protests in Los Angeles. When, you know, there would still just be people that was like, the way that they were dressed was like, are you wearing a gown to a protest? Like, what is this?
Yeah, and it's for both things. The Black Lives Matter protests were great, and they were big and full of people that were spreading love and stuff, but at the same time, there were just a ton of people that were like, I bet it's gonna be cool to get seen here.
Yeah.
And
like,
you saw pictures of white people take, just by themselves at a Black Lives Matter protest. It's like, brother,
I really
if you're about it, be about it.
I really wanted to make fun of this when it happened, but there was too many people that supported it, so I thought everybody would think I was some anti-feminist. But the woman who just threw her vagina on the concrete and just took a photo of it, and I was like, how could anybody possibly try to make this more about them and their photo op in the moment? I don't think there's a way that in the middle of a Black Lives Matter protest during a racial uprising.
Oh, it looks like they're attacking the media now.
Oh wow!
It's a whole pile of news equipment.
Because if you want your side to be heard, then you attack the news. Yes, they feel like their voice isn't being heard, and they're attacking the only people that are there to interview them. Wow.
Yeah, some things don't make perfect sense, but I'll raise you this. Stop thinking about it. People are asking good questions. Why are the police not doing anything? I have speculations. Your immediate.
There's some issue of Washington of that not being a state, so it took that area isn't a state, so it's not like the governor can just.
Well, they have their
say.
It's the mayor. There's a mayor of D.C. announced. Yeah. It's like a weird thing. Here's my speculation. They haven't announced this as an unlawful protest yet. For some reason, so they can't. An
Are they setting
unlawful
something
assembly.
on fire right now? Is that what we're looking at?
Looks like firecrackers in the hallway, or it might just be bright lights and a lot of people are walking in front of them. I don't think those are explosions. If there were explosions, people would be moving away from it. It looks like just flashing
Fireworks,
lights. Yeah, so I don't think they've announced it as an unlawful assembly, so they can't just start forcibly removing people, especially since like the actual grounds of the White House are public property.
I love that Trump is saying that is going to try to distance himself from this when everybody is wearing his name on their bodies.
Yeah, it's kind of hard
I've
to
got
do.
nothing to do with this, even though they're wearing Trump underwear and Trump stars.
It's like
and
running a
hats.
cult, where you make all of your cult followers wear a picture of your face on their chest, and then when law enforcement breaks into the cult, you're like, whoa, dude, that wasn't me. And then they like turn around and like everybody's just wearing your face on their chest, and they're like, I think it was you.
I'm pretty sure.
Like, the president can say he's going to distance himself all he wants, but the fact of the matter is they're literally hanging banners with his name on it.
Yeah. Like, they somehow they got that idea. Either the only options are you encouraged this, or all of these people are collectively stupid because they just assumed that you were their leader even though they're wrong.
Oh, Ben,
Like,
please stop calling it the White... It's the Capitol building. My apologies.
Yeah.
Not the White House, it's the Capitol
you
building.
You were trying to make it more exciting. This wasn't
I
exciting.
want more, Jeff.
You wanted to make it Independence Day. You were going for just full on.
Look, as bad as it can get, man, make it that bad.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do it, look, okay, here's a thing, right? And some of you are gonna understand this, some of you aren't. In Orlando, in the comedy scene, we have a Facebook group called the Orlando Comedy Scene, right? And inside this Facebook group of the Orlando Comedy Scene, it's a bunch of comedians. And a lot of time there's just random drama for no reason that gets, like, really explodes. So we have to actually spend a lot of time deleting posts that are just drama, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once a year, we dedicate a day to Dumpster Fire Day in the Orlando Comedy Group, where just any drama post can be posted that day alone. It's called Dumpster Fire Day. Everybody gets it out all at once. We're good.
Oh, wow.
I think that should be today. January 6th, 2021 is National Dumpster Fire Day. Do whatever you want, man. Just make it crazy, and then, like, tomorrow, you're done. You got it all out.
Like,
You go back to your quiet life on the farm.
is this like a purge you're talking about?
It is kind of
Is
sounding
this-
like the purge, yeah.
Yeah. Kaylee commented, and I saw that it was just like, it sounds like...
It sounds like the purge, but without murder.
Ah, so you got one rule.
Yeah.
One rule, no murder.
It's
But,
the purge,
yeah.
but for drama. That's exactly what it is, yeah.
So
It's-
you're like you want like a gossipy purge.
Ooh, that sounds great! A spill the tea purge? Oh.
A spill the tea purge? You can say whatever you want.
We encourage you to say everything, actually. It's not the
Mean
purge.
Girls purge.
It's not the
Yeah,
purge, it's
somebody
National
commented,
Dumpster
it's
Fire
like Mean
Day.
Girl purge. That's funny.
A spill the tea party? Oh, that's good. That's
Spill
good.
the tea party. That's such a good comment. Oh wow.
I don't think that.
Man.
So the only thing that's really changing is that the pile of news equipment they've started to pile up is getting bigger. But
Yeah.
people are still just like on the Capitol building lawn. I think someone's wearing a Captain America shield on his back.
Captain America shield. Yeah.
Which-
They're crazy people. This is a game to them.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever watched Captain America.
Yeah, I don't think Captain America would be on their side.
No.
They just like anything with the word America in it. They use their support of America as like as a scapegoat. Like it's not real.
Is it the Boston Spill the Tea Party?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why they're doing it.
Why are they doing it?
Like,
I think. Did you ever see that Chappelle sketch where it was just like, he's like, so why do we do this? Why are we rude to people? It's like, cause fuck them. That's why. That's how that. I think of that for so many things that don't make sense. I think that's why they're doing it. Cause fuck you, huh? How about that? That's as much sense as it makes. Any more thought than that is giving them too much credit.
I mean, regardless of what side you were on during the Black Lives Matter protests, you knew why they were out there.
True.
Black people were tired of being treated like second-class citizens. They're out protesting. And I am a really big fan of protests. You know me.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when anybody stands up to the status quo. It's a wonderful thing to watch. But, like, I don't know why they're doing it.
I don't know. And literally right before this, Ted Cruz, all of the Republicans, they were all supporting this. And so I think that's what a lot of people miss, is that it's like, saying that Republicans are bad doesn't mean that I'm saying that all Democrats are good, but there's a clear difference in politics right now. Republicans supported Trump for 4 years. They encouraged everything that's happening right now is happening not just because of Trump, but because of the support of the entire Republican Party. They just looked the other way and they were like, well, at least our side's winning, so let's just turn away and pretend as if we don't see how horrible this is going to turn out. And then after all of the things that happened right now that we knew that were going to happen, we all of the things
we said, please stop saying because you're going to incite violence.
Everything happened in slow motion. The election, we knew that he was going to protest it. He said
there
the mail-in
is some
ballots
smoke.
Were fake.
We got some explosives.
Oh wow.
There's smoke on the Capitol building right now. There were a couple pops, not like grenades. They're not like I don't know if those are smoke grenades or tear gas. But there's definitely a couple pops and now some smoke spilling over the Capitol building. Based off the way that nobody's reacting to it, looks like smoke.
I just can't believe that if this wasn't thousands of Black Lives Matter protesters, that half of them wouldn't just be shot on sight.
Well, the thing is, generally, if you storm the Capitol building, you get shot. Like, that's...
Yeah, that's
like
just a general rule.
There's another pop. The flashes look a lot bigger than the actual impact. Again, hard to tell if it's just smoke or if it's tear gas, but nobody seems to be running right now, so...
Yeah. Sarah is right. They're protesting for spite. That's the reason. It's as good a reason as I can think of. Because the way that they're treating police shows that when they were supporting the police, they didn't really care about the police. They just knew that black people were frustrated with how they were treated by the police, so they couldn't just say we don't like black people. So instead, they said we support the police, as just saying the opposite that they could get away with saying. They don't support the police. They're not listening to them. They're not respecting any of the orders.
Are the people in yellow the police? I think so, but I don't know for sure. They got SWAT lined up on the streets. The mayor of DC has announced a 6 p.m. curfew.
Oh wow!
So
I want to know where Antifa is right now to save the day. All of those.
Jeff, this is just fun.
all of those imaginary giant Antifa coalitions that are underground that nobody's seen the leader from or any organization. Where are they at to save the day right now? We need them and Anonymous to come together.
Jeff, Antifa is training at their training grounds. You know where they do their basic training to allow you in?
Yeah.
They're at Antifa boot camp right now, Jeff. They can't come to the phone.
Oh wow. Oh man. Well,
apparently the National Guard has been called in, so they'll probably arrive any minute now. Antifa's a terrorist group. Please don't even. Okay, lady. I say lady because your name is Lady Atlantis.
Are they?
Antifa's
is this
not
a terrorist
real.
Group or is this not a terrorist group? Since far right Republicans, were listed as a terrorist group for 2020. That's like how they were listed.
There's literally people storming the Capitol building, and you're mad at me because I said Antifa. Lady Atlantis. Antifa's not real. It stands for anti-fascist. If you don't like fascism, you're Antifa. Period. The end. Some guy wrote a quote-unquote Antifa handbook, which I thought was really funny because it was like very similar to like if I taped a piece of cardboard in the front of my house that said like Justice League and I just started calling myself Superman. You can't tell me I'm wrong. I wrote a piece of paper.
Yeah. Chappelle made a joke about that, but like used a Wu-Tang Clan reference of like, you know how he's like, I can't just be having sex with a woman and just say Wu-Tang and then just now I'm a part of the Wu-Tang Clan. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you can't.
This can be considered a terrorist attack, right? Probably. There's some semantics you could probably throw out. There's an argument for it, for sure. I mean, I'm not going to be the one to make that argument.
I would. This is a government building. You used force. You used violence and guns to take over a government building and take over the verification of the Electoral College to stage a coup. I would absolutely say that. At the very least, I would say if their skin color wasn't majority white, then it would be labeled terrorism. Any other group of people that looked any differently than this would be labeled as terrorists. I can't imagine that if Trump won, thousands of black people stormed the Capitol building. I can't imagine people being like, they're not terrorists. Hold on. Let's see all the information here.
I mean, if we're talking that, like, Black Lives Matter did very little to be immediately labeled a terrorist group by a bunch of people. So, yeah, storming the Capitol building, if we're going by those same standards, is for sure good enough to be labeled a terrorist attack. There is, like, an actual definition of terrorism in the Department of Homeland Security.
Sure.
I believe part of it has to be either attacking or a political party or in promotion of a political party.
Sure.
So obviously them swinging flags around that say Trump 2020, that's them declaring it as like a political thing. There is for sure an argument, and not even a difficult argument to be made for this to be labeled a terrorist thing.
Yeah. Don't see the cops destroying milk jugs and water stations. Yeah, and
do you think they planned milk jugs and water stations? No, because here's the thing: if you bring milk jugs and water stations, that's showing that you have the foresight to care about other people. The group attacking the Capitol building right now don't.
Yeah, I remember the way that the police showed up to when this was happening in Michigan. There were bicycle cops, like you were talking about earlier. That's what was met. It was met with bike cops. Like, they're just continued. This is how they show up to white people that cause mischief. They just give them the benefit of the doubt so much that they didn't have the foresight to see that this would happen. They're like, they're not gonna do anything. They're just they're characters.
Somebody said BLM caused the most damage on American soil in our history. I'm pretty sure it's not too far off being a terrorist group.
You're just wrong, and you're a terrible person. And I hope that only bad things happen to that person. And I'm sorry if they're a fan of yours, Ben, but I disapprove of any ounce of their happiness for the rest of their life. That's the only thing I'm going to pray for the rest of my life, is that whoever said that is never happy again.
Oh, Jeff.
That's my
First
one
of all,
prayer.
I would like to say that saying the most damage is a very vague sentence. What kind of damage are you talking about? Are you talking about deaths? Are you talking about building damage? Are you talking about cost? Because all of those were beaten by the 5-day riots in 1992. In one city. So one city, LA, rioted for like 5 days in 1992 and did a lot more death, property damage, and monetary damage than all of BLM protests in, 6 full months?
A white terrorist just... do we even know his motive yet? What was the white terrorist just recently that did more damage? He just destroyed, 4 entire blocks?
Yeah, the RV bombing in Nashville. So the speculation is that he was a 5G conspiracist because he blew up a 5G building.
Sure.
But we don't really know anything else.
Yeah, whatever his intent was, it just baffles me that also people forget that the far majority of the damage caused in the BLM protests were not from Black Lives Matter protesters. People don't want to separate it. If Republicans want to separate themselves from Trump and say, like there are people in the comments that are like, I'm embarrassed to be a Republican. If you want to separate yourself from Trump, you don't get to also separate yourself from the bad parts on your side and then group together the protesters and the rioters and the looters. You can't just pick and choose which groups you want to put into what sections to help your own argument. There was rioters, there was looters, there was protesters, there was different groups of people.
So in Orlando, when the protests were happening at City Hall, there was also one of the malls got broken into or something. I don't even think that it got broken into. I think like someone broke a window at a mall at the same time that the protests were happening at City Hall. And people were like, oh, Black Lives Matter is destroying a mall. And I was like, how far away is that mall from City Hall? And they were like, 9 miles. I was like, I don't think those are the same thing. It didn't even happen in the same general area. Lady Atlantis says, same goes to both sides for that comment, Jeff. And I would like to say, before you respond, that's literally what he was saying.
Yeah.
That's literally the whole point of that comment, was to say that you can't separate yourself from your side, but not separate the bad from the good on the other side.
Yeah, so I agree with that. So yeah, 2021 lied to us.
I'm mad at Pence for backstabbing Mr. Trump. It's fine. Also, Trump threw Pence under the bus too. Like, they only care about themselves.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
No,
they do only,
AXS Snow, that's not what he's saying. He's saying you, as a Republican, can separate yourself from Trumpers, whatever, but if you're going to do that, you also have to understand that rioters and looters are not the same people as protesters. Oh, Lady Atlantis said that she was agreeing with you, but she was cooking.
Yeah. I saw that.
That's fine. Do your thing, Lady Atlantis.
Good. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, wow. They're just, I just can't get over. And I guess that's just another thing that bothers me, is that for many people, when they were angry at how Black Lives, if in their mind Black Lives Matter was a terrorist organization, there are people that are going to take that and mentally use that as racism towards black people. Even if they don't act on it, they will have a negative opinion of black people now as a group because of that. Where things like this, white people can do for years, and there still isn't going to be just a negative stamp on white people in as a result of this. This will be viewed as just a small group of crazy white people. That's how it's going to be, and maybe that's a fair assessment. I'm not saying.
I mean, I don't know.
This is
Did
all
you
white
see?
people, but whether or not it's, how much damage do racist white people have to cause for there to be a change of opinion that I don't know. It just baffles me.
Did
just
you
how
see,
quickly we can throw stereotypes out.
Did you see Biden's speech earlier?
Yeah.
Biden.
Like I was gonna
said,
talk about the economy today. That's how we open.
I missed the beginning of it. I didn't hear that part, but he says, you know, this isn't an accurate reflection of America. This isn't even a majority of Americans. This is a small group of radical activists, and I think that was good of him for that. Because in a way, he gives other people the out. Like, to be like, hey, no, you're right. That wasn't me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I would say, I don't know. I don't know if it's that. It's a small group that's acting on it, sure. But it wasn't a small group that voted for him. So It is weird for there to be people that voted for him that still want to distance themselves from these people and say, well, I supported him encouraging all of this behavior, but I didn't physically throw fireworks at anybody at the Capitol building, so I'm not one of those people. It's like a vote for him is support of all of this behavior. That's what you saw. We all saw this happen in slow motion. I don't know who was surprised by this. It's shocking to see, sure, but he's been encouraging this for a while.
Okay, so someone was asking, it looks like only one person has been injured. Well, okay, let's see. Says one person was shot, 5 others were taken to the hospital so far. They're all in lockdown. Mike Pence was evacuated. Started 2020 with possible World War III. Start 2021 with Civil War. Seems on brand. Oh man, the Roaring 20s need to be quiet.
Yeah.
Too much roar.
Too much roar.
Too much roar.
I might leave you here, Ben. We'll have to I need to figure out how do I go live with you sometime from my YouTube and not my phone, so this isn't so weird.
Oh, this is the only way I know how to do it.
All right. Well then, hey, I guess this is it. But hopefully there's no, Civil War II. Hopefully we have a country. And
yeah, man, be good out there. Stay safe.
Hey, you too, man.
All the way in LA.
Yeah, stay safe. Guard, hopefully they don't take over Disney World.
No, we have that security on lock, my dude. Like, if someone tried to storm Disney World, it would end very quickly.
It would go better than this?
The amount of Disney adults that would lay down their lives at the gates of Disney World to protect the mouse. There's too many. It's too many.
You'd have more people wearing Mickey Mouse hats than there's people there wearing Trump gear that are just like,
you don't want to see Goofy on a warpath.
Wow. All right.
We got the Gators on our side.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ben. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, man. Be good out there, Jeff.
Posted. Keep me posted on the end of the world. If you hear anything about the end of the world, let me know.
Okay.
Bye.
Toodles. Now we're back
since the beginning.
To the news.
The president is still in the denial phase of the grief process. He has not accepted the fact he has lost. He cannot understand it. He cannot fathom it, and thus cannot move forward. There are people, George, that around him are
are trying to make the necessary preparations for what happens next. He's got to go somewhere. Does he go down to Mar-a-Lago? Do they do some type of event to thank staff? How does he leave the White House? Does he greet President-elect Joe Biden on January 20th? Two people said to me just days ago that no one can approach him about the January 20th what do we do conversation. He's just not there yet.
Well, that's just crazy. Okay, John Santucci, thanks very much. I want to go back to Martha Raddatz there near the Capitol. They're starting to move people away.
They're starting to move some people away, George, but behind me are a line of people that you can see the police officers there. They've been putting some of the rioters into police vehicles. You can see a lot of them handcuffed. There've been several of them that they've put into vehicles.
All right, so people are starting to get
move towards the Capitol, but there's been a lot of movement from the police. We also saw we keep moving back because there was an area there were media behind a barrier, and they burst down the barrier, these rioters, and destroyed the media gear. There's a big pile of media gear crushed over there by the Capitol, so we have moved back here.
They're starting to actually arrest some of the rioters.
And load them into vans.
So you've been moved to a calmer place, but is it your sense from where you were that it's de-escalating there as well, or not really?
No, not really. I think it's, again, these sort of more hardcore groups, and we've seen the Oath Keepers and I assume Proud Boys over there at the Capitol. We weren't actually moved. We haven't been moved at all. We moved ourselves because they were destroying media gear up there, some of the rioters. But what we have seen is the perimeter. The police are definitely forming a perimeter, and I think at some point they probably will clear out those other rioters there who are not leaving that area, especially that area where you enter the security area, where there were some windows broken on this side and where we heard those flashbangs to try to clear people out of there. We don't really know who's setting those off. There's been nobody really to talk to about any of that, and it's basically what we can see and hear, and we heard those flashbangs go off. We've seen the police go down the street in very long lines down Constitution Avenue. I'm looking directly at the Capitol right now, but we came over here because it was safer over here, obviously, and obviously because they're bringing people out. Now, we don't know, this is the Russell Senate Office Building, we don't know whether they've been in there for a while, whether they were people from the Capitol they rounded up and put in here and are now taking out. We saw no one arrested. We're just seeing these individuals being taken away now. So they may have been people who were in the Capitol, who they managed to get out. We just don't know at this point.
Perimeter around the Capitol now. You see the sirens, you see the flashes. We're glad you moved to a safer location. Martha, thank you. Let me go to John Greenblatt with the Anti-Defamation League. And John, we've been talking a lot about these protesters today that have become rioters at the Capitol. It is a situation that has been building for some time. Yes. You've been tracking white supremacist group. You've tracked the Proud Boys. What can you tell us about what you've seen today? And is it something we should have been surprised by?
Yeah, George, this was a dark day for democracy. I think we've been talking about this for years, for months, in recent days, because we take these extremists at their word, and they have been telling us that they plan to mobilize and commit acts of violence. And I think the displays that we saw today on our television screens, the images literally of extremists storming the halls of Congress. I mean, to be clear about how extreme this was, this didn't happen during the U.S. Civil War. So what we saw today in modern times is without precedent. I would say that the responsibility for this grotesquerie lies at the feet of President Trump, who has been stoking division and spreading disinformation and spawning hate for years. And the people who he assembled today, George, it was a who's who of right-wing extremists. There were members of the Oath Keepers, an anti-government militia, an armed militia group, the Groyper Army, whose leader Nick Fuentes was there. They were a white supremacist organization. The European Heritage Association, another white supremacist group. There were Proud Boys who were present. We're still not sure of all the people who were actually arrested inside the Capitol today, but my analysts are looking at the images, and I'm certain we're going to know very many of them because
this, in many ways, George, this was a bookend to Charlottesville, where white supremacists marched openly and proudly down the streets of that college town. Today, they were doing it literally through the hall of the center of power of the United States government.
Well, it's hard. I mean, I was going to ask you, where does it go next? It's hard to imagine something worse than breaching the Capitol as we see these pictures of guns drawn in the House chamber today. But where does this go next? Is there any method to all this? Is there any end game? What should we be thinking about? What should we be worried about?
Well, what we need to understand is that, there are those in the far right who literally espouse a theory called boogaloo. What they want is civil war. They want armed unrest in the streets. Tonight, they can claim that they achieved that at the U.S. Capitol building. I think where this goes is we are going to need
let me just stop you. So is this is a battle won in their view?
Well, I think they will likely champion this day and look back on this moment, their ability to breach the Capitol as a historic achievement. Those images that you showed earlier of that individual sitting at Nancy Pelosi's desk, or the other images of white supremacists literally standing in the Senate chamber, there's just no precedent for that, George, and they will claim it as a victory.
Jonathan Greenblatt, thanks very much. CEO, National Director of the Anti-Defamation League. Tom Yamas, you have more images from inside the Capitol today?
Yeah, this one coming from Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon. I want to put it up on the screen right now. These were the wooden boxes that were holding the Electoral College ballots. The caption reads, "Electoral College ballots rescued from the Senate floor. If our capable floor staff hadn't grabbed them, they would have been burned by the mob." George, as you know, those Senate floor staff, I think you worked in the House, the floor staff as well, you don't make a lot of money. You take those jobs because you love government and civics, and those staff members had enough mindset, even during this wild time, to take those Electoral College ballots, which were going to be counted and certified today by both houses of Congress. That is not going to happen. We are just getting word from Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. He's saying that the Senate intends on certifying the Electoral College ballots tonight, that they're not going to be driven out. We're going to have to wait and see if they're able to.
Now, I don't know about you, but if our entire democracy, as far as counting ballots and votes go, hinges on a couple of brown boxes on the Senate floor, and brother, maybe it's time to change that. I don't know, but everything could be lost by a couple of guys in a mob burning a few brown boxes. Maybe that's not the best way to go about it. By the way, if you're watching on TikTok, you're welcome to go onto my YouTube. I'm streaming the news on YouTube. You can watch it along with me. If you don't want to, that's fine too. But that's what's happening here. I'm watching ABC News.
People who work on Capitol Hill always joke about it being sort of like a village and almost like Hogwarts from the Harry Potter universe. This is a bunch of buildings with underground tunnels, tons of entrances, exits. It's going to take a really long time to make sure that the campus is safe and secure, and that there aren't still people, elements who want to disrupt the process in the building. So rank and file members, leadership aides still do not know when they will move forward on this. They are all ready to, as a lot of the members are telling you in these interviews, but it's just not clear at this time when that will happen.
Take another minute on that, Ben, because I think you hit on a very important point right there. We see the Capitol right there. There are 3 House buildings on Independence Avenue side, 3 Senate buildings on the Constitution Avenue side, the Library of Congress and the Supreme Court further up the street. And what most people don't understand in this is that everything you see above ground is matched by an entire warren of offices and tunnels below ground.
That's right. It's basically like a human anthill where the business of the country and the politics get done. Almost every building is connected through multiple tunnels. The members of Congress use these buildings, use these tunnels to get to and from votes during the winter, during inclement weather. They were actually instructed to use these tunnels today because of protests. Ironically enough, this is tens of thousands of people work here every day when there's not a pandemic. And there are just so many ways in and out of the building. If you're somebody who's protesting, and trying to get in there, trying to disrupt this process, it takes a lot of people to secure the facility and all the entrances and all these different buildings, the 3 or 4 House office buildings and the Library of Congress buildings, and then the 3 Senate buildings on the other side of the building. And, one thing that I was struck by watching some of these images coming in from the Capitol and some of these really frightening scenes of people breaching the Capitol, for the first time in hundreds of years, people making it through the Capitol and occupying it. There are hallways and places in the Capitol that you pass on your walks every day to and from getting coffee, to or from your desk, that are really unremarkable. It's a window that's locked on both sides that looks out to the Washington Monument that you really can't get access or use. Sort of these hallways that are locked off for security reasons that don't really lead anywhere. And today, these images were just so striking. You had almost all these windows were broken and people were trying to swarm in. And it was almost as if they did not have enough Capitol police officers to deal with anything. It's almost remarkable in one sense that we've only heard of just sort of a handful of instances of gunshots and maybe 1 or 2 injuries from protesters. I'm surprised it's not actually more, quite frankly. So they really have a tall order ahead of them trying to secure this whole facility and also make sure that it's protected so that the members of Congress, the more than 500 members of Congress, can go back to doing their work in both chambers. And then also, we're not even talking about the inauguration. That's going to be another gargantuan task to secure and protect, because everything you're seeing everywhere on the west front of the Capitol facing the Washington Monument, where you're seeing these protesters fan out and they're not even being pushed back from some of these places. That's still the grounds of the Capitol. That's where the members of Congress might even be sitting when Joe Biden takes the oath of office. So they have to really figure out how to not just secure the Capitol, but expand that perimeter and get it in a position where they can actually continue preparing for the inauguration, which is only happening in a couple weeks.
Ben, you spend most of your days up there on Capitol Hill. You deal with these hundreds, thousands of staffers, most of them young, in the Capitol. As you spoke with everyone today, how would you describe what they were feeling, what their state of mind was as this was all unfolding?
It's a real mix of fear and apprehension and disappointment. Throughout our broadcast, we keep saying, Joe Biden said the siege of the Capitol, and it's almost unbelievable to hear that the seat of American democracy in this country, which is respected and admired from all around the world. People come here from all around the country and the world to work to try to make this country better. To see it, vandalized and broken into and desecrated, it's not something that anybody who ever comes to work here every day, would really expect to happen in this country and really anywhere. And it's just such a magical place where again, people have their differences and they have their disagreements, but there is still comedy. There is still a sense that we're all in this together. We're all trying to make the country better when you talk to Republicans and Democrats, and for that matter, reporters up there who want people to understand what's happening in their government and how the Congress functions. And you always see something new in the Congress. You always see a new detail, a new statue, a new historical figure. You can get lost in the building just soaking in the history and everything that's happened there, and the fact that we're seeing.
Oh, that dude is putting me to sleep. He said so many words, but said nothing at all. He just kept saying there are hidden passages. This is Hogwarts. There's hallways. There's windows. Good job, Ben Siegel. You hit your word count on that. Paper. Ugh. I'm tired, man. I'm trying to stay on here until this curfew hits. Don't scare the young people. what news am I watching? I'm on ABC News. They're doing like live coverage. Yeah, it's about 20 minutes until curfew hits in DC. 6 p.m. Eastern. The DC mayor just announced it. Yeah, it's just the District of Columbia. It's not a nationwide curfew. What's the best local news source for Florida? I don't know. I don't watch local Florida news. If it happens and it's big enough, I'll hear about it. Ben looks sad. Look, guys, I'm not sad, but I already filmed my sketches for the week and then this happens? I stayed up until 3 a.m. filming sketches last night. Y'all couldn't have waited until the weekend to storm the Capitol? Oh, come on, man. Now I gotta write a whole nother sketch about this stuff? Y'all could have done this last night. Do it yesterday. I could have written a sketch about it. Man. Now I gotta write a whole nother sketch about friggin' white people storming the Capitol building. This is so dumb. This is so dumb, dude. Like, do it yesterday. Y'all couldn't have just done this yesterday? Thanks for that donation, Jennifer. Every day I wonder how much more chaos and gullibility I will see in the world, especially America. People never cease to disappoint. It's sad. Yeah, Jennifer, but also, couldn't you have done this yesterday? Release it and we can send it in 1,000 tweets about how you missed the big news. I didn't miss the big news. Obviously, I'm streaming the news, but... I gotta write and film a whole sketch about this tonight. Okay, so something is happening.
So we, a group of us grabbed some of the heavy furniture, credenzas and whatnot, and moved it in front of the doors to try to prevent that from happening. Police officers were there. They had drawn their weapons, and at that point, the glass to the doors, the glass on the doors was being broken, and as that happened, more and more members were being escorted off. I left with the last 4 or 5 members. There were at least 20 to 30 police officers in the House floor at that point, House chamber at that point, and we went through the tunnels and got back. Make sure my staff was all right, and then joined them.
You're explaining it in an admirably low-key way, but the image of you and your fellow members of Congress barricading yourself inside the House floor is hard to believe.
It is hard to believe, and it's hard to believe that it happens in America. And what started out as a peaceful protest really involved criminal action and is unacceptable in our country.
You're a Republican. You were urging your colleagues to certify the election results. Do you understand what's behind this protest? Or is even engaging in that question trying to rationalize something that shouldn't be rationalized?
Well, I don't know that it should be rationalized, and I don't know it should be rationalized moments after something like this happens. But certainly, I think in the months to come, we will look back and recognize the frustration that has occurred, and we all are to blame for some of this. The rhetoric, so many other things that have occurred that one side or the other feels has been unfair. And obviously, the outcome of the election made millions of people believe that it was unfair, And while I believe that Joe Biden won the election and we will have a peaceful transfer of power, I also recognize and feel as though we have to recognize the fact that there are questions about the election in some of the states, and we should look at that to make sure Americans have confidence in this process.
Right, but that is quite different from the president telling his supporters just hours ago that this election was stolen. Do you have any expectation that he can come out and do more to calm the situation down?
Do I have any anticipation that the president will come out and do something more to calm the situation down? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
No.
I think that the president's statement, he asked people to go home. I think that the Attorney General has made it clear that Attorney General Bill Barr has made it clear that what's going on in the Capitol is despicable and has to cease right away. And I think many others of us are sending out social media messages that are clear. While we're conservatives, we absolutely don't tolerate a violation of the rule of law, and that's what we're witnessing right now.
I can't get the thing to stay.
And moving forward, what should be on the agenda now?
I think we have to make sure that the world sees that Congress is back in session. We are going to certify this vote. We are going to have a peaceful transfer of power. We should, among other things, look at our system of electing our president and make sure that it is credible and all Americans have confidence in it. And I think that we resume our duties to do the people's work.
Congressman, thanks for your time today. I'm glad you're safe. I want to bring in Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat.
13 minutes. 13 minutes until curfew in D.C. And then we get to see something happen. We're honestly at the start of a revolution movie. I don't think so. I really don't think so. So what will be the sketch? DC shows up late looking like he just got mugged, and pro-Trump states will say he just got held up. I don't know. I don't know what the sketch is going to be. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. This man really out here saying, we'll have a peaceful transition of power after the Capitol building was stormed and occupied by armed idiots. Look, man, it happens. Know what I mean? What you gonna do about it? They got, look, I mean, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see they've cleared out the whole front of the Senate, of the Capitol building. There's no quote-unquote protesters out there, or thugs, out in that front area anymore. There's 10 minutes until curfew. I'm thinking most people went home already. Quite a few people got arrested. But I don't know. The National Guard got called in. I haven't seen them. The DC has a curfew at 6 p.m. So 10 minutes from now, there will be a curfew in place. Anybody outside after that will be in violation of local municipal codes, which grounds for a fine. If you do it multiple times, you can get arrested. they're putting gates up around the Capitol building now. Fencing. Lost audio? You didn't lose audio. I just muted it.
Morris Rogers has decided to do just that she was planning to object, but now in light of what we have seen here today, that she will not stand in the way of this anymore. And we should say, George, we are also hearing that the Sergeant-at-Arms has told members that the Capitol building is now secure and has been cleared. And since we know that members are eager, certainly, to finish the work that they started today, to go ahead and certify the results of the Electoral College, it will be interesting to see if they are able to get back to work, where they are able to get back to work, whether they do this, in the chamber or in another secured location. We are keeping a close eye on all of that. But the Sergeant-at-Arms, again, we are hearing he has told members that the Capitol building is secure.
Mary, that's pretty big news that it could happen that quickly.
We don't know exactly how we don't know when this might happen, but we do know that members are eager for this to move ahead, and some vowing that they want to do this, tonight if possible.
Okay, so we just heard the Capitol building is clear and secure. Didn't take long. It's not even the 6 p.m. curfew yet. I didn't think that it was going to take very long. Pretty much as soon as police got there, everyone cleared out. Several arrests were made. So basically, the Senate was going to meet today to certify the results of the election. They were going to count the votes from the Electoral College and certify the election. That got interrupted. Some members of Congress are now talking about continuing to certify it tonight. They're just going to stay and certify it tonight. So we could have a certified election tonight. We could not. Who knows? But it's
these selfies with smiles on their faces inside the House chamber and the Senate chamber. We can't forget, a woman has been shot tonight. Okay, a woman has been shot tonight. There was also chemical agents that were used on police. And from some of the videos we've seen, clearly they had tools and weapons to break in to Capitol Hill. So this was not sort of a spur of the moment thing. This was not a big joke. Let's take some selfies inside of Capitol Hill. This was a riot, and that's what we should call it. That's what we are calling it.
What we heard from the congressman from Oklahoma earlier today, at least 25 Capitol Police injured.
George, it's so bad. And when I saw this, I couldn't believe it. The governor of New Jersey says that they've asked for help. So now state police in New Jersey are going to protect Washington, D.C. It's hard to believe.
Tom Yamas, thanks very much. Let me bring in Senator Jeff Merkley this afternoon. Senator, we showed that picture you had taken or you had obtained of the staffers protecting the Electoral College ballots. We're showing it again right there. Remarkable that had to be done.
Oh, absolutely, because the rioters would have busted those open, burned those ballots, and it just feels something sacred about those boxes holding the decisions of the citizens of the United States on the election of our president. So just tremendous appreciation to those staffers who smartly grabbed those boxes and protected them.
Tell us what you've been going through today, what you expect to happen next, Senator.
Well, we are hoping that when the grounds are secured, and hopefully that will be within a short period of time, we'll be able to return to the Senate floor, continue the debate, hold the vote, and I believe that it will be a very, very strong vote to reject the objections to the electoral votes from Arizona, which is what was being challenged. And as I've talked to a number of my Republican colleagues, I think there is a good possibility they will drop all additional objections for other states, and we will get these votes secured. These are objections that should never have happened because the responsibility we have under the Constitution to count the ballots, the only basis in law for challenging them is if they weren't properly certified or if they misrepresent the information that should have arrived in them. And there was absolutely no contention by those who spoke on the floor that either of those.
Okay, so I just want to address this. This is a personal opinion. If you have a different opinion, that's fine. We're not all going to have the same opinions and everything. Whatever, man. But I see a lot of people saying, a lot more people should be arrested. Where's the tear gas? Why aren't the police shooting more people? Stuff like that. I think the police handled this correctly. I mean, obviously there's give or take, they could have done more, they could have done less. They did what they could with what they had. Obviously there wasn't the entire National Guard at the Capitol building when it got stormed. So the main goal was to protect as many people as they could on the inside. That's why all of the people inside the Capitol building were either escorted out of the building or put into secure locations. You don't want to escalate the violence. Here's what I'm going to say. This is how all of the Black Lives Matter protests should have been handled. And I'm mad that they weren't. Because at no point was there tear gas or unnecessary violence on the side of the police. The police handled what happened here the correct way for what was happening. Given the situation, the police handled this correctly. Some people got hurt, and that's a shame, but it wasn't escalated. It could have been a lot worse than what happened, and it wasn't. They handled it well. They handled it correctly. This is how they should have handled all the Black Lives Matter protests. But it's not. That is the problem. BS. DC police was attacking Trump supporters all day. Do you only watch the bits of the news that agree with your narrative? Because you very clearly don't watch everything that's happening if you legitimately think that that is the thing. If you're legitimately in my comments telling me right now that what I said was BS and DC police were attacking Trump supporters all day, then you literally only pay attention to the fraction of the news that agrees with your predetermined narrative. you don't have an open mind. You're not actually watching. You're not trying to learn. You're not trying to get new perspectives. You're just trying to look for a thing you can spin for your own narrative. And you're objectively incorrect. Log out of Parler, turn off OAN, watch something that's not Fox News. It's astounding how many other opinions you can get when you stop listening to your own. The curfew in DC is active. There's a 6 p.m. curfew in DC. So anybody out right now is in direct violation of municipal codes. They can be fined and arrested. I don't think many people will be. I think from what I saw earlier, the Capitol building has been cleared and secured for a while now. So I don't think much more is going to happen. You can sit here all you want and complain that there wasn't equal treatment for the BLM protests as there were for this. And there's an argument to be had there. I'm not going to be the one to sit here and argue it. I think the police handled this well for the situation. I am upset that all the other Black Lives Matter protests weren't handled this way. Maybe this is naivety on my part, but there's still hope in me. This is the hopeful part of me that hopes, after a full summer of constant protests, my hope is that this is because of all of the protests. They now have better responses to stuff like this. This is growth. This is learning. I don't think that is what's happening. I don't think that's what we just saw. I don't think we just saw growth. But there's still a part of me that has that hope. Now if something happens again, if there's another Black Lives Matter protest, we hold them to this standard right here. What they did at the Capitol building when the Trump supporters stormed the Capitol building, we hold all police in protest to this standard. If they don't stand up to this standard, then we, check the variables. But why are they rioting in the first place? Skater K, I don't know. My guess is it's basically the rhetoric that's been happening since the election. Of the stolen election, the fraud, all that stuff, that rhetoric that's been pushing that kind of narrative that the election was stolen from Trump, whatever. They were supposed to certify the election today, and they weren't able to. Because people stormed I think it's because they still think, the election was stolen. All right, so here is what Trump just said on Twitter. People are telling me to go look at it, so here it is. These are the things and events that happen when a sacred landslide election victory is so unceremoniously and viciously stripped away from great patriots who have been badly and unfairly treated for so long. Go home with love and in peace. Remember this day forever. basically, he just said, you know, there's good people on both sides. I'm tired. Yo, a bunch of people just stormed the Capitol building on the grounds of baseless allegations. And the President of the United States of America said, "We love you." Did they loot? Not baseless. 1 million votes cast without watchers. Here's the deal, Chase Lamar. Everything you just said is wrong. I'm not gonna give you the energy. You literally don't matter. Was that mean? Whoops. I'm just so tired. I'm so tired of people like you that say dumb things constantly. You're the reason the Capitol building got stormed today, Chase Lamar. It's because you specifically are dumb and gullible. Basically, you buy into all propaganda, whether it's real or not. You're very easily manipulated. And you're not alone. Clearly, there was enough of you. There was enough of exactly you to storm the Capitol building today, Chase. So don't feel like you're special, because you're not. There's a whole group of you out there that are just so dumb and easily manipulated. I've seen a lot of you around. But boy, oh boy, does it make my heart hurt to see people like you actively speaking. Whew. Rough. Must be blissful, though. He's probably happier than me. He's gotta be more blissful than me. Right? Like, sometimes I'm curious about how happy you can be with just, like, a fraction of that amount of ignorance. Just, like, I want 1/10 of the amount of ignorance you have on, like, a regular basis. I want that. I just want to see how happy I can be. Must be nice to not care about anyone other than yourself. Oh man, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I have this thing called empathy. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but you should check it out. Thanks for that donation, Jay. I don't know if I pronounced your last name wrong. Probably did. Bunch of goofballs. Look at the tweet. I made fun of the tweet. The tweet's dumb. Just, like, you can't... I don't know. Look at Twitter again? There's another one? This claim of election fraud is disputed, and this tweet can't be replied to, retweeted, or liked due to a risk of violence. Oh, man. Imagine having that stamped on all of your tweets. There's still so many people that just, like, believe in him. It's weird. One of the injured was a police officer. Yeah, so the estimate's about 25. 25 Capitol Hill police officers were injured. We don't know the severity of the injuries, of course. John Humans. I believe the reason why this is happening is because a lot of people are getting tired of the corruption in government. Oh, okay. I think it's more of like a cult kind of thing, where the leader has stoked the flames of insurrection for the past several months, and finally there was a breaking point. But I feel like if it was just the corruption of government, we would have stormed the Capitol building a long time ago. We've had 4 full years of government corruption that we could have picked any day. I legitimately think it was a cult leader telling people to pick up their pitchforks and what's the one? The torches. Yeah, someone was shot. A woman was shot today. 25 Capitol Hill police officers were injured. 5 other people went to the hospital. Thanks for that donation, Dank Anime Trash. You are a star. Thank you for being a voice of reason. I appreciate you. One person was shot and killed as they were climbing through the window. I don't know if she's dead. I know someone was shot. I don't know if she's dead. I haven't seen any actual reports of it. Yeah, I've seen some people say that she's passed now. Not sure. I'm not sure. Let's CNN just announced that she's dead. Okay, yeah, so someone died today. And it wasn't the police that shot her. Maybe it was. I don't know. I actually don't know. Let's see what happened. Did she get shot by the police? Does anyone know? Yeah, okay, so woman shot by law enforcement inside Capitol building has died. So I guess if you storm the Capitol building, you get shot. Right. That makes sense. Florida and Louis would be so happy and drunk right now. Yeah, probably. Yeah, so Biden did speak. He actually had a speech planned, like, for that time. It was just, like, perfect timing for him. He started his speech by saying, basically, I was planning to talk about the economy today. And then all of that happened, so we had to talk about that. Say, look, guys, you keep saying you can't wait for the next table sketch about this. I haven't written anything. I filmed all my sketches last night. I filmed 3 sketches last night that were all supposed to... They were all supposed to drop on Friday. If this happened yesterday, it would have been fine. Look. Valkyrie Kara, thanks for that donation. Minneapolis to DC. First time. That is a great line. Don't be surprised if I use it. Look, okay. I've got 3 sketches filmed. I've got 5 more written. I'm gonna take a nap. Right? I'm gonna nap. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna write a sketch about this. I'm gonna try to write a sketch about this. 1 minute. 1 minute. It's gonna be a 2-page script. It's gonna be fine. We're fine. Okay? I'm gonna take a nap. I'm gonna write a script. I'm gonna drop 3 sketches on Friday. If you're on TikTok and you don't follow me on YouTube already, go do that. If you're on YouTube and you don't follow me on TikTok already, go do that. I love you all. Drink water and eat enough food. Sleep good. Goodbye, everybody. Many loves.